Welcome back to Iraqi Dinar Alert, your go-to source for the latest updates. Today, we're tackling the big question on everyone's mind. Are Iraq's banking reforms bringing us closer to a major currency shift? Rumors are flying, but let's dive into the facts and see what's really happening. For years, Iraq's financial system was held back by a heavy reliance on cash, weak digital infrastructure, and a lack of trust from its own citizens. This made it nearly impossible to connect with global banking networks. Reforms weren't just a good idea, they became absolutely essential for Iraq to stabilize the dinar and join the international financial stage. So, what's changing? The biggest move is a massive push toward a digital cashless economy. The Central Bank of Iraq, or CBI, is rolling out electronic payment systems, encouraging the use of bank cards and requiring businesses to adopt point-of-sale devices. This isn't just for convenience. A digitized system makes it easier to monitor transactions, reduce corruption, and prove to international bodies like the IMF that Iraq is serious about modern financial standards. At the same time, Iraq is working hard to meet global compliance rules for anti-money laundering and counter-terrorism financing. Why does this matter? Because major global banks won't do business with a country that isn't compliant. Gaining their trust is a critical step before any currency can truly strengthen and participate in global trade. Perhaps the boldest move is Iraq's strategy of de-dollarization. For a long time, the US dollar was king in Iraq for everything from major trade to daily shopping. Now, the CBI is restricting the use of dollars for local transactions and tightening the rules on dollar transfers. The goal is simple: strengthen the Iraqi dinar's role within its own borders and cut down on illegal dollar movements. This creates natural demand for the dinar, which is key for long-term growth. Iraq is also reconnecting with the world. It has expanded its access to the SWIFT international transfer system and is building new partnerships with correspondent banks across the globe. This shows that Iraq is getting ready for a more open and transparent currency environment, allowing it to conduct trade using its own approved channels. One of the biggest hurdles has been the parallel market, where the unofficial exchange rate is often much weaker than the official one. The CBI is cracking down on this by targeting illegal money exchangers and increasing the transparency of its own official dollar auctions. Closing the gap between the official and street rates is crucial for signaling stability and building confidence in the dinar. A stable dinar is a non-negotiable step toward any significant currency shift. All of this is supported by new laws focused on banking transparency, foreign investment protection, and anti-corruption measures. A strong legal framework makes Iraq more attractive to foreign investors, which indirectly supports the dinar's future. Plus, the country is working to diversify its economy beyond oil, aiming to strengthen its industrial and agricultural sectors. A stronger, more diverse economy naturally leads to a stronger currency. So, let's get to the main question. Are we close to a major currency shift? The realistic answer is that Iraq is laying all the necessary groundwork, but it won't happen overnight. These reforms show a clear intention to strengthen the dinar, build a modern banking system, and reconnect with the global economy. All these steps are moving Iraq in the right direction and honestly, faster than many expected. A major revaluation is possible, but only after these reforms are fully implemented and have had time to create real stability. What's clear is that Iraq is preparing for a regulated, digital, and globally connected future. This journey is what could ultimately pave the way for a meaningful and lasting change in the Iraqi dinar. For years, a big question has been circling among investors and economists. Is Iraq on the verge of a major shift with its currency, the Iraqi dinar? While online rumors often get ahead of themselves, one thing is certain: Iraq's financial system is undergoing a massive transformation. So let's break down exactly what's happening with Iraq's banking reforms, why they're so crucial, and what they could mean for the future of the dinar. First, let's understand why these reforms were so desperately needed. For decades, Iraq's banking system was stuck in the past. It relied heavily on cash, used outdated technology, and struggled with corruption and a lack of public trust. This made it nearly impossible to connect with the global financial world. To build a stable currency and gain credibility, a complete overhaul was non-negotiable. One of the biggest changes is the push toward digital banking. The Central Bank of Iraq is rolling out electronic payment systems, expanding the use of debit and credit cards, and pushing businesses to install point-of-sale terminals. This move isn't just about convenience. It's about creating transparency. A digital economy makes it much harder for corruption to hide and shows global institutions that Iraq is serious about playing by modern rules. Because international banks won't do business with a country they can't trust. A currency can only get stronger if the system behind it is seen as clean, transparent, and secure. This compliance work is the bedrock of building that trust. Another huge piece of the puzzle is reducing the country's dependence on the US dollar. For a long time, the dollar dominated Iraq's local markets. The central bank is now actively trying to change that. They're limiting the circulation of dollars for everyday transactions and encouraging everyone to use the dinar instead. This creates more local demand for the Iraqi currency, which is a key step toward strengthening its value from the inside out. At the same time, Iraq is reconnecting with the global banking system. They're re-improving access to international transfer systems like SWIFT and building new relationships with banks around the world. These connections make it easier for Iraq to participate in global trade and finance. As these pathways mature, they provide the infrastructure needed to support a more stable and reliable currency on the world stage. A major headache for Iraq has been the gap between the official exchange rate and the black market or parallel rate. This difference creates instability and erodes confidence. The central bank is now cracking down on illegal currency trading and making dollar auctions more transparent. Closing this gap is absolutely essential. A stable, unified exchange rate is a prerequisite before any significant change to the currency's value can even be considered. To back all of this up, Iraq has been passing new laws focused on financial transparency, investor protection, and anti-corruption measures. A strong legal framework tells the world that Iraq is a safe place to do business, which in turn could boost confidence in the dinar. And it's not just about finance. Iraq is also working to grow its non-oil economy. By developing sectors like agriculture, tourism, and technology, the country becomes less vulnerable to oil price shocks, creating a more stable foundation for its currency. So, with all these reforms, are we close to a major currency shift? Iraq is definitely moving in the right direction, building a modern, transparent, and integrated financial system. These steps are laying the essential groundwork. However, a major transformation in the dinar's value requires complete financial and political stability, which takes time. In conclusion, Iraq's banking reforms are a massive undertaking. They are designed to modernize the economy, fight corruption, and align the country with global standards. While these changes don't guarantee an overnight revaluation, they are the necessary steps toward building a stronger, more stable, and internationally respected currency in the future. Have you seen the recent buzz around the Iraqi dinar? There's intense speculation everywhere, with analysts and investors wondering if Iraq is gearing up for a massive currency shift. The reason for all this talk? Iraq has started a series of deep, foundational banking reforms. But what do these changes really mean for the dinar's future? Let's break down what's happening, why it matters, and whether a major currency move is actually on the horizon. For years, Iraq's banking sector has been stuck in the past. It was heavily reliant on cash, lacked modern digital systems, and had weak protections against financial crime. Outdated regulations and low public trust in banks held the country back from fully joining the global financial system. To stabilize the dinar and compete internationally, a complete overhaul wasn't just an option, it was an absolute necessity. Now, we're seeing that overhaul happen in real time. The biggest change is a massive push from a cash-based system to a digital one. The Central Bank of Iraq is rolling out electronic payments, smart cards, and point-of-sale machines in stores everywhere. Mobile banking and digital wallets are becoming the new norm. This isn't just about convenience. It's about creating transparency, strengthening government oversight, and aligning Iraq with global banking standards. Another huge move is the plan to de-dollarize the economy. For a long time, the US dollar was king in Iraq, used for most major transactions. Now, the government is restricting the use of dollars for local purchases and tightening control over dollar transfers abroad. The goal is simple: reduce dependence on the dollar and increase local demand for the Iraqi dinar. By encouraging its own citizens and businesses to use the dinar, Iraq is taking a critical step toward building its currency's long-term strength and stability from the inside out. To make all of this work, Iraq is also reconnecting with the global banking network. This means improving access to international payment systems like SWIFT, building partnerships with foreign banks, and creating new channels for trade with neighboring countries. A country that is financially connected to the rest of the world is in a much better position to support a strong and stable currency. This integration makes international trade smoother and more secure. One of the most persistent problems has been the gap between the official dinar exchange rate and the black market or parallel market rate. This difference created instability and a lot of room for illegal trading. The central bank is now cracking down, with stricter oversight of currency exchanges and more transparent dollar auctions. By closing this gap, they can build confidence in the dinar's official value, which is a key requirement before any major currency revaluation can even be considered. Of course, a currency is only as strong as the economy behind it. Realizing this, Iraq is working to diversify away from its heavy reliance on oil. They're investing in industry, agriculture, tourism, and major infrastructure projects. While oil is still the backbone of the economy, creating other sources of revenue reduces vulnerability and builds a more resilient foundation for the future. A growing, diversified economy is the best fuel for a nation's currency. So the big question: are these reforms leading to a currency revaluation? The honest answer is that Iraq is definitely building the runway, but we're not at takeoff just yet. These reforms clearly show Iraq's intent to strengthen the dinar, modernize its financial system, and improve its global standing. However, a major currency shift still depends on a stable political environment, the full implementation of these changes, and sustained economic growth. In conclusion, Iraq's banking reforms are one of the most significant transformations the country has undertaken in decades. They are methodically laying the groundwork for a stable financial future. While these steps don't guarantee an immediate jump in the dinar's value, they are moving the country much closer to the conditions needed for a meaningful currency shift. If Iraq stays on this path, the future of the dinar could look very different. Is it on the verge of a major comeback? The short answer is, it's complicated. But the long answer involves some massive changes happening right now inside Iraq's banking system. So, stick around as we break down what's really going on. For a long time, Iraq's financial system was stuck in the past. Think mountains of physical cash, outdated banks, and a serious lack of trust. This made it nearly impossible for Iraq to connect with the global economy and for the dinar to gain any real stability. To fix this, the Central Bank of Iraq knew it had to make some bold moves. One of the biggest changes is the push towards digital banking. Iraq is rapidly rolling out electronic payments, encouraging debit and credit card use, and getting businesses to install point-of-sale systems. This isn't just about convenience. Going digital makes every transaction transparent, which is a powerful tool against corruption and helps build trust with international partners. Speaking of international partners, Iraq is working hard to get on the same page as the rest of the world. This means implementing strict anti-money laundering rules, adopting global banking standards like Basel III, and getting serious about financial audits. Think of it like this. If you want to play in the big leagues, you have to follow the same rulebook. For the dinar to be taken seriously, Iraq's banks need to be seen as safe and reliable. Another huge piece of the puzzle is reducing the country's dependence on the US dollar. For years, the dollar was king in Iraq, even for everyday purchases. Now, the government is actively promoting the use of the dinar for all domestic trade. They're cracking down on the black market for dollars and strengthening the official exchange channels. The goal is simple. Make the dinar the primary currency within Iraq's own borders to build its strength from the inside out. So, are all these reforms leading to that big currency revaluation everyone talks about? Here's the reality. Iraq is laying a very strong foundation. They are modernizing their banks, fighting corruption, and building a more stable, diversified economy that isn't just about oil. But a major shift in a currency's value doesn't happen overnight. It requires political stability, sustained economic growth, and the full trust of the global financial community. What we're seeing is not a get-rich-quick scheme, but a long-term strategy. These reforms are the essential first steps toward creating a stronger, more stable Iraqi dinar. It's a marathon, not a sprint. The journey is far from over, but for the first time in a long time the path forward is becoming clearer. Iraq is methodically building a modern financial system from the ground up, and that alone is a story worth watching.